Now we're going to use Cramer's rule to solve a system of three equations, so a 3 by 3 matrix. So remember what we did in 2 by 2 matrix for Cramer's rule. Go ahead and do that. We found the determinant of the original matrix. Well, first of all, we created the matrix of minors, where you take all of the coefficients here, all the coefficients, and we created a matrix. Then we found a determinant of the original 2 by 2 matrix. Then we found the determinant of the X matrix. We created an X matrix, found the determinant, created a Y matrix, found the determinant. We're doing that this time, but we're also finding the determinant of the Z matrix. All right, so a minute ago or a few minutes ago, you watched the video on finding the determinant. So we're going to go ahead of a 3 by 3 matrix, and we're going to go ahead and get started on that. So I'm creating the matrix based on this equation up here. Notice the second equation here, there's not an x, so it's a 0x. We put a 0 for the coefficient. And then I'm going to take this 3 by 3 matrix right here and find the determinant. So remember what you do. It's this first row, and then each of those individual elements has a determinant. All right, so let me move this out of the way. So to find the determinant, you take that first element and multiply it by its determinant. Then you subtract the second element, which is -6, times its determinant. Then you add the third element, which is -5, times its determinant. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So for -4, the first element, here's this determinant. So we have 1 times -2, -2 subtract 5 times -5 is -25. -2 plus 25 is +23. All right, then we're going to skip over here to, the second column, and its matrix minor is 0 times -2, which is 0, subtract -1 times -5 is +5, so 0 subtract 5, which is -5, and then we go to the third column. We go to the third column and use this matrix, find the determinant. So 0 times 5 is 0, subtract -1 times 1 is -1, so subtracting negatives, adding to positive, so that's 1. And then we're going to simplify that. -4 times 23 is -92, I believe. And then, so let's pay attention to this subtract sign right here. First, we have -6 times -5, which is +30. So we have subtract 30. And then we're going to add -5 times 1 is -5. So when you add all of those things together, so let's see, I'm going to do this. That adds to 7, that adds to, so -127. That's the D determinant. Okay, unless you caught me in an error someplace, and that's possible. So now we have to create the X matrix, the Y matrix, the Z matrix, and find its determinant. So we're going to come over here, and remember, when we create the X matrix, let's come back over here. When we create the X matrix, instead of the X values, we're going to put 18, 12, and 19. And then when we it's not going to let me do it. Then when we create the Y matrix, all of these values Yeah, it's not going to let me do it. We're going to put those over the y coefficients. Then for the z matrix, we'll put the 18, 12, and 19 over the z coefficients. So, alrighty. So for the x matrix, this 18, 12, and 19 covers up the -4, 0, and -1. So then to find the determinant, it is 18 times its determinant, subtract -6 times its determinant, plus -5 times its determinant. So let's go ahead and get started. So 1 times -2 is, oh, we just, we know that that's going to end up being 23 because that matrix didn't change from over here. 23 is this first matrix. Okay, good deal. Whoops. Because it was -2 subtract -25, add those together. So now we're going to move that, and now we have some different numbers. 12 times -2 is -24. Subtract 19 times -5 is -95. So when you add those two things together, that's going to be plus 95. So subtract 24, you end up with positive 71. And then we move this over. 12 times 5 is 60. Subtract 1 times 19 is 19. So we have 41, and it would have been a lot better if I would have gotten my calculator out first. It'll take too long on the video to add all that up. So I'm just going to, in the calculator, I'm going to type in 18 parentheses 23. Subtract a negative is like adding to positive. So plus 6 parentheses 71 parentheses. And then negative times a positive is negative. So I'm going to put subtract 5 parentheses 41 parentheses. I'm going to hit enter, and right there, the dx determinant, the determinant of x matrix is 635. All right, now we're going to go on to the y. We're going to do all that. I'm actually going to pause this. Okay, so on the y matrix, we look up here, and it's -4 times its determinant, subtract 18 times it, add -5 times its determinant, and I went ahead and pre-did these to kind of speed up the video. So 12 times -2 is -24, subtract 19 times -5, subtract -95, you add those together and you get positive 71. Then you move this over. 0 times -2 is 0. Subtract -1 times -5 is positive 5. So 0 subtract 5 is -5. So -18 times -5. And then finally, 0 times 19 is 0. Subtract -1 times 12 is -12. Subtract a negative is like adding a positive. And when you put all that into your calculator, -4 times 71, subtract 18 times -5, plus -5 times 12, you should arrive at -254. So that is the dy. So the dy value is -254. And I'm going to go ahead and move this. So our dx is 635, our dy is -254, and we're going to do the same thing, that same process, but now over the y coefficients is the 18, 12, and 19. So it's -4 times its determinant, subtract -6 times its, plus 18 times its determinant. And when you find each of those determinants, we have -41 for the first one, positive 12 for the second one, positive 1. When you do that multiplication, you get positive 254. So d of z, the determinant of z, is positive 254. And then remember, now we can solve. We can find the x, which is dx over d. And what is d? Well, d is negative 127. So d is 635 divided by negative 127. So 635 divide negative 127, we get negative 5. So x is equal to negative 5. And then the y value is negative 254 divided by negative 127. And I think that's just going to be positive 2. It is. So y is equal to 2. And the z value is positive 254 divided by negative 127. So the z value is negative 2. So in solution set brackets, our x value is negative 5, our y value is positive 2, our z value is negative 2. And that's it. That's how you use Cramer's rule to solve a system of 3 equations putting them into matrix form. All right, that's it.